Hello, everybody. Welcome into Bills Weekly here on FingerLakes1.com. I am Paul Russo, Kyle Evans, and Jim Senecropi here with me as always. We will be recapping and discussing the Bills' stunning, frankly, loss yesterday to the New England Patriots in Week 7 and taking a look ahead to Week 8 as the Bills match up with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football in Orchard Park. But first, I want to thank today's sponsor of the podcast, GoNetSpeed. The future of connection is here, and it's fiber. Made for how we live and work today. GoNetSpeed Fiber is faster and stronger than anything out there. Check availability in your area as well as plans and pricing at GoNetSpeed.com and get ready for fast and reliable fiber internet straight to your home. Boys, that was a doozy yesterday. I don't know really how to frame it other than stunning. I think it's exactly kind of opposite of how I think we all kind of envisioned the Bills going about business yesterday.
Patriots are one of the worst teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
And they really handled Buffalo start to finish. I mean, Buffalo finally did overcome the hump to take the lead late. And then they just marched right down the field. Not only they just need a field goal to tie, but they just got the touchdown. You know, I mean, the terrible tackling on that last drive and throughout most of the ball game. And if you're a Bills fan, you got to start to become comfortable with the realization that they might not make the playoffs this year. I mean, there's a large collection of wild card contenders in the AFC, including the Bengals, the Browns, the Chargers, the Houston Texans. They're looking up at Miami in the standings, even though Miami lost yesterday. And Buffalo might need to win the AFC East to get in, but they got a 1-2 record in the division. So, you know, imagine if the refs called pass interference last week on Darren Waller's last play of the game for the Giants, and they lost to the Giants last week, and that would have put them at 3-4 now, right? Instead of 4-3, yeah. So I mean, geez, they are really perilously flirting with not making the playoffs now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And Kyle, before I toss over to you, it's kind of stunning because, right, the Jets were idle this week and they were on the bye. Obviously, the Patriots at the bottom of the division, they get the win on you. And it ended up being a big spot. I mean, the Dolphins came out and for one half of football, they looked pretty good. And the other half, I'd venture that it wasn't certainly not their best football they've played all year. And, the AFC coming out of this weekend, not to go too wide, I guess, in terms of scope, but the AFC became a little bit tight over the weekend again, right? I mean, you bring up good points, Jim, right?
A lot of teams right around 500. Yeah. One game under, one game over, or at 500.
Yeah. So, Kyle, you off-air said some interesting comments, so I don't know if you want to bring them to light, but the floor is yours.
Well, I guess we'll start with the offense. I think it's a serious problem. 3 straight games, they get off to slow starts. I have a stat. Over the last 3 games, they've scored 59 points. 42 of those have come in the fourth quarter. That just goes to show you that the offense continues to start slow, and then it's too late. And I guess you could make an argument that the defense was at fault yesterday, but to be fair, they don't really deserve a lot of the blame because they've been on the field so much because of the offense is quickly, 3 and out or punting the ball. So, and then the injuries. But yeah, the offense is a serious problem. I don't know. I mean, it is execution and I think play calling. And now it's such a short week. I don't know what's going to happen, but I don't know. I don't know where they go from here. Nothing has changed over the last 3 weeks. And the problem is, too, they're struggling against 2 defenses that haven't been that good this year. So it's not like they're facing elite defenses like Week 1 when they faced the Jets. We're like, all right, we'll give them a break. But now, Giants, you score 14 for the first 3 quarters. What did they have, 10 against New England? So I don't know why they're starting out slow. Is it coaching? Is it just strictly execution? And then one noticeable thing, too, Josh Allen is simply not running the ball anymore. And he's no longer a dual threat. His rushing attempt average is 4 per game this year. It's dropped like 3 rushing attempts since last year. And like yesterday, if you're watching the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes had 2 third and longs. What does he do? He scrambles for the first down when nobody's open. You do not see Josh Allen do that at all this year. And he's just a completely different quarterback. And I don't know if they're just telling him simply not to run the ball. They have to be. I mean, look at his first 4 or 5 seasons. He ran the ball a ton. And I get keeping him safe and not, putting him in harm's way, but he can step out of bounds. And he's just not taking what's
Or he can slide.
yeah, he's just not taking what's being given to him, and I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he's a dual threat anymore.
And that's a good point about Allen not running. If you look at a lot of the top teams like the Chiefs, that just is an extra wrinkle to the offense. When a play breaks down, they can run and pick up that key third down. And you saw Jalen Hurts do it in the Sunday night game against Miami, but you didn't see Josh Allen do it at all. And back to what you were saying about where this puts them now in the world of playoffs and the AFC, these are the teams with a better record than the Bills right now. The Chiefs, obviously, 6-1, 2 games clear of Buffalo. So, really behind the 8 ball now in terms of any type of home field advantage. But then you got in their own division, Miami, 5-2. Then you got the Ravens at 5-2, the Jaguars at 5-2, the Steelers at 4-2, the Browns at 4-2. Those are a lot of teams that are better than the Bills right now. And then you want to look at some other 3-loss teams. You got the Jets, the Bengals, and the Houston Texans. So that's a lot of teams that are in a better position now through 8 weeks of the NFL season, or 7 weeks?
7 weeks.
7 weeks of the NFL season than the Bills. And it could get a lot worse on Thursday night.
And remember, we were kind of talking about this stretch of games where they should be winning these games and before they get to the harder part of the schedule. And if you look ahead, they're facing a lot of really good teams, and they've been struggling to beat the teams that have had one win going into the matchups. So
if we look at their season, they've had one quality win, and that was Miami.
Yep.
Right? Good thing they won that game, or Miami would be 6-1 like the Chiefs. But they did handle Miami convincingly, blowing out Las Vegas 30-10, while so did the Chicago Bears with a Division II quarterback making his first start ever. And they blew out Washington. We started to think that they were really turning around after that just anomaly of a Week 1 loss to the Jets. They come back and they beat Miami, and now we're like, smooth sailing. And then, of course, they lose to the Jaguars in London. So we'll give them a pass because they were in London. And that's tough. Jags were there for a week longer. And so then they survived the Giants in a game they should have lost. They only scored 14 points. Some crucial calls late against the Giants. But they pulled out the victory. But I don't have any excuse for this loss to the Patriots. How many years of Bill fans have to watch Bill Belichick just have their lunch? The Bills never upset the Patriots. I didn't even look into it, but I can't remember. Maybe once in the 8-year Belichick-Brady run did the Bills pull an upset.
Right.
So Belichick still has the Bills' number, obviously, because this was a huge loss to Buffalo. And the Patriots aren't going to build off this and make the playoffs or nothing. The Patriots are terrible. The Bills just didn't get it done.
yeah, Mac Jones looked like Tom Brady. Didn't turn the ball over. Was 20 for 25, or 25 for 30.
Yeah.
So just very efficient, and the Bills had no answer, especially on that last drive.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of good points. I know the part that stood out to me watching defensively first, because I do agree with you, Kyle. There's a certain element where, as a defense, no matter how good you are, you're just so get tired out if you're just consistently on the field.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of arm tackling would still be bringing the guy down, would be arm tackling going on, I thought, especially on that last drive by New England. And you just aren't going to survive that way, and look, it's one thing if we were sitting here and it's, Crimson Tide Weekly and we're talking about Mac Jones and it's 2020 or 2019, right? But it's not. Mac Jones was the better quarterback yesterday, more consistent, as you said, Kyle, but more yardage, better passer rating, better QBR than Josh Allen. And it kind of took me aback kind of seeing that, even because, yesterday was probably one of the first full games in terms of real time I was able to watch all year of the Bills, outside of having to go back and rewatch and do things. And it was just maybe it is one of those things, Jim, where a guy has a team's number and it just is how it is that way. Sometimes it's sometimes it's like that. Other sports you see it, like the Yankees just have the Minnesota Twins number year in and year out, and you just can't explain it. It's just kind of the way it is.
The
But
thing is, going into that game, the Bills had won 6 of the last 7 matchups.
right,
So over the last 3 years or so, they haven't had any problems, and Allen's best numbers have
Right.
come against the Patriots, as well as Diggs. So, yeah, no excuse for this loss.
I want to pose a question to you guys offensively here. So we see the first time, I believe, since week 2 when Gabe Davis led receiving, that was somebody other than Stephon Diggs. Dalton Kincaid, 8 receptions, 75 yards. Led the
Spread it
way
around.
led the way there. But I want to go back to a point kind of that Kyle brought up in terms of Josh Allen and play calling and stuff like that. Is Diggs a problem, not in the traditional sense if we talk about Stephon Diggs, but the fact that he so much showed the number one option that yesterday was kind of the first day we saw, Josh not be afraid to go to somebody else when needed, in a sense?
He did spread it around, but, Gabe Davis had a horrible game.
Well, I'm talking about Diggs, though.
Statistically.
I'm talking about Diggs, though.
Yeah, Diggs still got his touchdown. He just wasn't being force-fed the ball the entire time. Maybe they should go
Well-
back to force-feeding him the ball. I don't know.
He was targeted 12 times, led the team in targets. He just only caught 6 balls. So, Allen still targeted him a bunch. Kincaid had 8, so 4 less than Diggs. And then you look at other numbers, and the next is Khalil Shakir with 4 targets.
Right.
Or Gabe Davis, 5 targets, sorry. Yeah. But then Gabe only caught 1 of those 5 balls. Yeah. And he's your number 2 receiver. We talk about this, it seems like a lot.
Yeah.
How is this your number 2 receiver and he had 1 catch?
I just see it as I think they're too worried almost in a way about what Diggs might be saying or anything like that. Like, I think that in my mind, there was some smoke to the fire about through the offseason with Diggs as much as they tried to downplay it. And so much emphasis of making sure that he's number 1 and everything like that has now kind of put this team behind the 8 ball, more or less, offensively. I mean, it's very apparent that Diggs number 1 will always be Allen's number 1 will always be Diggs in terms of first look.
Well, it should
And
be.
that's I don't disagree with that necessarily, right? But like, maybe this is like a wrong example or not the best, but you look at a team like, say, like Philly, where you have a guy like Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown, where, Jalen Hurts' number 1 on one play could be to look at Brown, but the next play is going to be Smith, depending upon, the situation.
Yeah, but if you got A.J. Brown or Stephon Diggs or Justin Jefferson, those are your first choice. Those guys got to have 100-plus yard receiving games. Those guys got to average a touchdown a week type of deal. And so that part of the thing seems fine for the Bills, but why did Gabe Davis only catch 1 of 5 balls yesterday for 5 yards or something like that?
And here's the other wild stat. Gabe Davis was on the field for 68 of the 71 offensive plays. He played more than Diggs and had 1 catch. I mean, it's just the numbers are insane.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense. And if you look at the Bills, who got off to a slow start again yesterday, I mean, over the past 3 games, they scored 7, 0, and 3 points in the first half. Mm-hmm. So, you're coming from behind at that point. So if this prolific Bills offense in the past 3 games has put up a combined 10 first-half points.
And notice they're getting all their points in the fourth quarter, and they're doing it when they're in hurry-up mode.
Yeah.
Why are they doing it? Why are they doing so well in hurry-up mode? Why was Allen a perfect 8 for 8 in the final 4 minutes yesterday? It seems like whenever they need to be quick and they have everyone out wide, they do better as an offense.
Yeah, it seems like that should be more of the focus from the start, but they probably thinking trying to keep their defense off the field, maybe overthinking it. But and that goes back to Allen not running the ball either. It's like everything's been kind of reined in except for when their back's against the wall, then they let them go.
Yeah, there's been 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s. Allen has a chance to run and just tries to force a ball down the field to Diggs or whoever, and it's just why? Last year, all the years before, he would just run to the sideline. Or I guess maybe not always because he likes to take hits, but you know what I mean. He would pick up the first down, and we just don't see the dual threat anymore.
Do you blame Dorsey for any of this?
I think some of it is on him, but then you look at some of the plays too. Like last week, what was it? Gabe Davis that dropped a ball, what would have been a first down late in the game on a 3rd down. I mean, some of it, does come down to the players executing. Dawson Knox dropped a big ball. What was it? Yesterday, I think it was, in the fourth quarter. So sometimes it is players, but then also the play calling. Every time they have like a 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, they always want to hand the ball to James Cook.
Right.
There was like 5 2nd and 4s yesterday where they handed the ball to James Cook every time.
So that's a good point because you look at teams with prolific offenses versus teams that maybe aren't considered prolific offenses, and you got a 2nd and 4 or 5. Well, the less prolific offensive team will try to maybe turn that into a 3rd and 2.
Yep.
But the prolific offense looks at, we can take a shot here because we'll get the 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 5 if we have to. So this is a good chance to take a shot. And so yeah, when they run the ball on 2nd and 5, it's conservative and it's not confident. And I'm not saying, because we've talked about on the show that the Bills need to run the ball too. And James Cook did have a good game yesterday. So, but again, you watch the Chiefs against the Chargers yesterday, and in 2nd and 5, anything's possible. Anything's possible. It could be a 30-yard pass downfield to Kelsey. It could be a jet sweep. It could be anything in the playbook. So, I thought the Bills had that type of offense, at this point in Allen's career and Stephon Diggs, and I thought that they were more prolific than they've been, and that's the number one problem to me. It isn't the defense, even with all the injuries. I think it's the offense is what's killing the Bills.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean it's one of the frustrating things, right? Because you watch this team, like you said, Jim, right? And the fact they aren't doing kind of that. Not even it has to be. It can't even be like the Chiefs, for example, because it's just such a different thing that they're kind of doing over there. But the fact that they aren't like kind of just opening up and like, not to do a dated term, but like West Coast styling it, where it's just like, you can gun it, you can just run, you can do whatever.
Opposing offensive coordinators should be scared about how can we keep up with this team. Like, we're going to need to score 25 points to be in this game. And it's not that. Like, if in the case of the Giants, they need to score 15 points to beat the Bills. And so, but again, we've seen both sides of it. We have seen that prolific offense against Vegas and Washington and Miami. But then they've looked pathetic since then. Since that Miami win, when we thought everything was good, their offense has not been good. And honestly, their defense has been fine despite all the injuries. They gave up 25 to the Jaguars, so I guess that's not great. 25 to the Patriots, but only 9 to the Giants. But if you're a Bills fan and your opponent's going to score 25 points, you probably think you'll win every game, right?
Or at least have the feeling that you have a shot.
Right.
I can't say that watching the game yesterday, when I was with a ton of Bills fans yesterday, watching the game, even
They loved it.
they were not having a good time, And it's weird because if we were talking at this time last year, it's a different story, But now it's to the point where the frustration collectively is mounting. I mean, there's no other way around it. Just to have to call it like it is on that one. And
they put themselves in a position where they got to play now 3 days from now on Thursday night, and that could just be the most devastating of all losses. And it's a short turnaround, and it is at home, so Tampa Bay has also got a short turnaround as well. But again, can Josh Allen beat Baker Mayfield? Better hope so, because if not, they're to 4-4 and going to Cincinnati next week, and really looking at being out of the playoff picture by Thanksgiving. Right. They got the Broncos, they got the Jets at home after that. So, but we talked about this stretch being an easy stretch, and so far they are. They came back from London after losing to Jacksonville, and we said, okay. They're 3-3. They got the Giants, Patriots, Tampa Bay, Bengals, Broncos, and Jets coming up. So they're going to just cruise and be in position. Now they're 1-1, and
kind of sleepwalking.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough for them to go 1-1 the next 2 weeks too, because that game at Cincinnati is not going to be easy. Cincinnati's playing better, and it's a road game, so they better beat Tampa Bay on Thursday night, right?
Yeah. I mean, so let's kind of jump into that. week 8, Thursday Night Football against Tampa Bay, 8:15 Prime Video for the TV viewing experience. I'm not too sure the number on it, but I know it's the Bills' first Thursday night home game, non-Thanksgiving wise, in a little bit. I think since the colorblind fiasco jersey wise there that ended up happening. But Tampa Bay, they're 3-3 following a 13-16 loss against Atlanta this past weekend. Baker Mayfield, 133 for 204, 1,363 yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Rashad White is their leading rusher, 83 carries, 266 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Evans, their leading receiver, 30 receptions, 468 yards, 4 touchdowns. Their defense allowing 358.3 yards a game, 262.5 through the air, and 95.8 on the ground. Bills early sitting as a 7.5 point favorite. 41.5 is the over-under. Current forecast 55 and cloudy Thursday night in Orchard Park. I don't know what to make of this game anymore because my mind says that it should be an easy win, but this is a Tampa Bay team that at minimum has been pesky all year for the most part, outside of the creamsicle fiasco.
Yeah, good defense. You got Chris Godwin and Mike. You got Baker Mayfield as quarterback, but he's throwing to guys like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. They're good. They got a decent running game. They're a team that the Bills should just simply outscore. It shouldn't even be a matter of what the defense does. The Bills' offense should outscore Tampa Bay 2-1. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I just looked it up. The Buccaneers have the 4th best defense in the NFL. They allow the 4th less total yards per game, only below the Cowboys, Ravens, and Niners, who are number 1, of course. So this defense is pretty good, and if the Bills had trouble against the Giants defense, who were ranked 28th at that time, and now the Patriots, this kind of scares me, especially on a short week. I agree, the offense should be able to win, do enough to win this game, but they haven't showed that they've been that good, so I really don't know what to make of this game.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay is a team that relies on their defense to keep them in games because, frankly, Baker Mayfield is not going to, win many shootouts. So where the Bills are kind of the opposite, or they should be the opposite, the offense should win them games and the defense should just do enough to get the job done. But we talked early in the season about how dominant the defense was, but that's not turned out to be necessarily the case. More recently, with the injuries maybe, but everybody has injuries, so I don't know. Why are the Bills even 7.5 point favorites? Because they're home? I mean, maybe Tampa Bay should be favored if you just look at what the body of work of both teams.
Yeah, I mean, my logic, at least on the line, the gambling portion of it, is I'm guessing lack of overall movement offensively from Tampa Bay. I mean,
the general betting public is going to be like Tampa Bay Bills in Buffalo. The Bills are going to kill them. Same way that I thought and bet on the Bills destroying New England this weekend, and they didn't. You never know what's going to happen in this league, and I could just tell you, just disaster is on the horizon for this franchise Thursday night.
I mean,
there's a lot on the line for an early season game.
I mean, this might be. I mean, outside the Jets, this might be the best defense on paper that they've seen so far. I mean, this is a defense in the Buccaneers who we talk about a lot of how there's turnover on the Buccaneers the past couple of years, but it's really on offense. Defense is still anchored by Vita Vea, who is an animal. That secondary is still really good. They got White still in the linebacking core. I mean, this is about the same defense that they've literally have ran out the past 4 seasons, who has at least, at worst case scenario, has left that offense in a position to go out there and score on the last possession and win type deal. And that's the frightening part. I think the key part in this, Jim, is what you keep bringing up, right? It's a short week. It's a short turnaround week. Normally, Mondays for a lot of teams in the NFL tend to be a quote-unquote lighter day. It's more film study more than anything else. And these short weeks, you don't have that luxury because you just have to get rep prepped and ready to go. And I can't imagine at one Bills drive right now, it's the most pleasant feeling prepping for this week. I'm imagining you're talking about like the disaster and stuff. I'd imagine there's a lot of pins and needles at the moment, you know, because this is, like I said, this is a Buccaneers team that they're just going to be pesky enough in my mind that they'll hang around at worst this whole game. I can't see a way that they don't.
Championship caliber teams take a situation like this and they get to work on Monday, and they're not ruminating on the loss yesterday anymore. They're focused ahead, and they're going to get the job done because they're professionals. So we'll see.
Yeah. Kyle, what are your thoughts for this? Because you, like I said, the spirit is low with the Bills.
I don't even know. I mean, I get this weird feeling that they're going to lose Thursday night. And I just think the offense, again, is going to be the problem. And I don't know what can change. I get a lot of people saying, like, oh, go out and acquire another receiver. The deadline's in, I think, a week from today or a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, $1.5 million cap space. Who are you going to get?
Yeah, they're going to have to make movement. They're going to have to rework contracts and stuff to even make that work. And that's going to be a lot of work itself. And salary cap restraints as well. So I don't know. I don't know how that would really change this offense. It comes down to execution and play calling. So I don't know. I just got this weird feeling that they might lose Thursday night. And the last time they've been in a similar spot was 2 years ago when they lost on that Hail Mary, Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. And they fell to 7-6 on the year through 13 games.
Yeah.
Guess what they did after that? Came back and won the division.
Yeah,
So,
I can see. I mean, it's easy to overreact because, like I said, all these teams in the AFC that now the Bills are down looking up at, but we're not quite halfway through the regular season.
Right.
And so things can turn, but the Bills' schedule through the first 8 games is a lot easier than their last 8.
Yep.
And so, but it doesn't mean, like I say, they can't get hot at the right time. I'd rather have them clicking, into January than, October, but, jeez, big game Thursday.
Yeah.
Are we giving predictions? I remember last week I predicted the Bills were going to win something like 30-3 against the Patriots.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not going to say who, but somebody here predicted a 41-0 win.
yeah, it might have been me.
No, that wasn't you. It wasn't me either. But I'm not going to say who.
Me?
I thought it was you.
No, I didn't say that.
Maybe it was you, Jim. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be the easiest win that the Bills would have all year. I mean, just look at how bad the Patriots have been. Just absolutely terrible. And then it got off to a bad start, and the Bills could never recover until they finally did take the lead and then just handed New England the win on that last drive. That last drive was pathetic. I mean, the missed tackles, how easy it was for them. Because originally you're thinking, okay, we left them enough time, they're going to get a field goal maybe, and then we'll go to overtime. Nope, you're going to lose right off the bat.
Right.
They rolled out the red carpet for them right into the end zone. So anyways, if you're looking for a prediction for this week, geez.
There's just one problem with the Bucs defense I just found out. They have the worst third down defense. They allowed the Falcons to go 7 for 13. And they allow 50% of third down completions.
Oh, that's gross.
So they're very bad on third down. But
It's weird that you'd have such good defensive stats across the board and then struggle on third.
Kind of gives me the vibe that they do a not all or nothing type scenario there on third a lot, but it sounds like they're willing to give up a big play.
But knowing that, the
Stop.
Bills will go like 4 for 15 on third down on Thursday. It's just how it's been this year.
Buffalo 24, Tampa Bay 13. This is my prediction.
Yours is going to be pretty similar to mine. I was thinking 24 as well, but I'm going to say 24-17. I'll say the Bills win, but I'm very nervous about this game.
I'm nervous too, but I do think they'll win.
I guess I'm closer to Kyle on this one. I think it's 21-19 the Bills win.
Oh, a close one.
I just think the Bucs are just pesky enough to do it.
I think if it's too close.
The Bills at the moment,
Bills don't win close games.
Yeah.
until they, I think at this point kind of prove me otherwise offensively. I don't think they'll be able to exactly pull away from them. Like I said, I guess they'll win outright, but I don't think they'll cover. You know?
Here's a question. If they lose this game and they say they only score like 14 or 17 points, do you think the Bills actually make an in-season change to the coordinator? Because that's been a big talk.
No,
The
they
way
don't.
Sean McDermott talked yesterday, he's like, we're going to have to evaluate everything. Do you think they make a change? Because really, if they were to lose this game Thursday, it would feel like 4 straight losses. Yeah, they beat the Giants, but they scored 14.
Yeah.
So maybe something has to be changed if they do lose this game.
Who gets promoted from within then?
I don't know. Joe Brady,
Oh, God.
quarterback coach.
Oh.
That's been a big talk. I don't know. You're kind of limited, but I guess something needs to be changed, right? And I guess you could go out and make that move for a receiver, but I don't think that's gonna really make a major difference. But I'm just kind of thinking ahead. If they do lose this game, that's 4 straight games where they barely scored.
When's the bye weekend? I'll do a page out of my college football background.
Week
on this one.
13 for the
Week
Bills.
13. Never mind then.
They
I was
play the Eagles before it.
I was going to do the page from college football where they pull in Arkansas and fire the offensive coordinator going into the bye week, but that's too far down the line. I think.
Did
for that to
Arkansas
happen.
fire their offensive coordinator this week after scoring 0 points?
3 points.
3
Yeah.
points, yeah. 7-3 they lost, right?
Yes.
To Ole Miss.
That was a
And
glorious.
Mississippi State.
You would have thought that SEC West game was a Big Ten West game the way that was played out. So anyway, different podcast for a different time on that one. No, if their bye week was maybe a single-digit bye week, then maybe I could see them doing a firing going in. But week 13 is a little bit late into the season to be making that switch. Yeah, Joe Brady. Bills fans might remember him from his Dolphins tenure, and that's not. I don't know. I don't know if that's the move. It goes back to something I brought up last week. I think if you had a DC, a defensive coordinator right now that wasn't Sean McDermott, I think it makes the decision a heck of a whole lot easier. But
Doug Marone's available.
it's true. He is.
Somebody this morning on the radio said Anthony Lynn, and he's some coach on the Niners right now.
Yeah.
Like, bring Anthony Lynn back. Bills fans are unbelievable.
That's not how that works. Marone's interesting. It's funny. This is the second time in 3 days I've heard Doug Marone's name get brought up in terms of coaching news. So
Really? Where else? With all the Bills? Or
I've
I mean, he
heard
wouldn't- I mean,
I've heard interesting things regarding Syracuse, but I doubt
Oh,
that's
geez.
I doubt there's any smoke to that fire.
I don't want him back. He left and said, he said it was his dream job, and then he left to go to coach the Bills.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Joe Brady's resume is not that bad. I mean, in 2020, 2021, the Panthers were a really good offense. I have the stats pulled up here. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, Mike Davis had all of them had over 1,000 scrimmage yards.
And that ended pretty unceremoniously.
And they set
though.
the franchise record for the fewest punts in a season, and tied the franchise record with 27 fourth. Oh, that's kind of relevant. 4th down attempts, converting over half of them. So I guess and that was his first year as an offensive coordinator.
I mean, I don't maybe, but like I don't know. I mean, it clearly
I just don't see how it can be any worse.
He can call plays, right? So I think that maybe is the bigger factor in this is where you don't have to worry about, a coordinator or head coach.
I gotta go,
Having a
guys.
coach, yeah.
I think we've done it. We've
Yeah,
done
you're
it all here.
Yeah, you're good.
Are we doing a podcast Friday? Because
Yeah, how are we going to
Yeah,
do
we
that?
probably should do
Friday
it.
morning.
Friday
Monday would
morning?
be too
All right,
long.
fair enough. We'll do a Friday morning for that. So yeah, Kyle.
They just need a spark, I think. And I'm not sure this would be the exact answer, but isn't it worth a try? We've seen Ken Dorsey now for 23 games dating back to last year, and it just seems like not much has really changed. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's like an answer for next year too, but why not just do it for the rest of this year?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I always go by this logic, and I've said it on here before, so I don't want to harp on it. Right? We can get kind of out here on this kind of note, but first year thing, you always allow somebody to try and figure it out. Right? Last year was Ken Dorsey's first year, justifiable criticism, so you had hope for coming into this year, and we are 7 games in, and it just if it isn't worse, it certainly feels worse. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, I guess, Brady does have the calling experience. Maybe you go one more week here or 2 more at most because of just the way the short week is. But you have the long week, right, in between Thursday and Sunday.
Yeah.
It's kind of
That's why I figured
Kind of the quote-unquote short bye week I was kind of referring to.
that's why I figured if they go out and struggle again, lose the game, they have all that time, the 10-day window, where maybe they think twice about maybe a coaching change and maybe it happens. And like I said, I don't know what they can really get outside the organization. That's why I mentioned Joe Brady. I'm not sure that'd be the right move, but I mean,
It's probably the better one that they got, though.
yeah, and he's been around now, and but that's the thing too. Ken Dorsey was around when Brian Dable was around. He was the offensive I can't remember exact
He
job.
was like, I don't know if he was necessarily quality control, but he was the quarterback coach.
Yeah, around the team, and you would think that he like would have picked up on some stuff, but
Right.
it just doesn't seem that way.
Yeah, so. All right, so I guess we're planning on Friday then for Bills Weekly. I guess it's Bills Dual Weekly this week, so that'll be fun with that. So it kind of sounds like we all got Bills winning, but only to some certain degrees than others. So that'll be great. So, Kyle, appreciate you as always. And for everybody else, thanks for listening and watching. You can find Bills Weekly here on fingerleaks1.com, the FL1 YouTube channel, and all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Amazon Music. So we will not be back next Monday. It will be Friday as of this point. So until then, let's go Buffalo.